A very good evening and welcome to this Sunday's edition of News First Weekend, coming to you live from our News First studios in Colombo. I'm Tanaka. Let's start off with a look at the stories making headlines this evening.
SLFP local government members pledged not to engage in fraud or corruption. Further revelations on the infamous MIG deal. Former UNP General Secretary speaks about the future of the party leadership. Mauritian president resigns over credit card scandal. Russian presidential election reach its final stages. Cyber attack on Russia's Central Election Commission during elections.
Now the stories in detail. Members of the SLFP and UPFA who emerged victorious at the recent local government elections met with President Maithripala this morning.
The meeting took place at the President's official residence. During the meeting, newly elected local government members took the party oath of committing to clean and honest politics before the President and party leaders. A group including General Secretary of the SLFP, Minister Tanaka, General Secretary of UPFA, Minister Mahinda Amaravira, SLFP Senior Deputy Chairman, Minister Maithripala DaSilva addressed the gathering.
We need to improve the qualitative aspects of politics. You need to set an example with your conduct and public relations so that many people will rally around you. There needs to be some essence to your politics. If we are bound by principles, if we are truthful and honest, we have a clear political journey. We will allocate all the necessary financial allocations in a legal manner for your development activities. Depending on your honesty, we will be able to increase the allocation step by step. If there are misappropriations of funds and if you receive any complaints, we will have to carry out investigations and limit or sometimes stop the financial allocations completely. By maintaining a balance between development and politics while ensuring the quality, you will be able to win the trust of the people. And with your dedication, you will be able to make the party strong.
මේ සියල්ලත් එක්ක තමුන්නාන්සලට අපිට මේ පක්ෂයේ ශක්තිමත් පක්ෂයක් කරගන්න පුළුවන්.
Welcome to the News First Center. 14.6 million US dollars. That was the total value of the highly controversial MIG deal, which we at News First have been covering for some time now. Today, the Sunday Times has made some startling revelations into the nearly 3-year-long investigation that has been carried out by the Financial Crimes Investigation Division, or FCID, into the procurement of MiG-27 aircraft for the Sri Lanka Air Force. Let's take a look at the contents of this latest report. The Sunday Times reports that the purchase of MiG aircraft for the Sri Lanka Air Force, touted as a government-to-government agreement between Ukrenmash, a military goods export firm in Ukraine, and the commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force, has turned out to be a fraudulent document. The article reports that the FCID has said that the Ukrainian Prosecutor General has confirmed that there has been a financial misappropriation in the deal. The FCID team, led by Senior DIG Ravi Vaidyalankara, who travelled to Kiev in search of answers, met with Ukrainian Prosecutor General and officials from Ukrenmash. When the FCID raised questions about the sale of MiG aircraft, officials at Ukrenmash had responded by stating that they had never sold MiG aircraft to Sri Lanka. According to the Sunday Times report, the so-called contract of July 26, 2006 between the Sri Lanka Air Force and Ukrenmash was false. CID has uncovered that Belimisa Holdings is a front company of the Alliance and its managing director Lee Tan-soo. Reports note that the FCID was able to uncover that the Ukrainian authorities had 2 different agreements with Singapore-based DS Alliance to which the Air Force had made payments. The Sunday Times, quoting the FCID investigation report, notes that, quote, it has been observed that the director of Ukrenmash, Dmitry Alexandrovich, Sri Lanka's former ambassador to Russia, Udayanga Weeratunga, the Singaporean company DS Alliance Private Limited, managing director Lee Tan-soo, Belimisa Holdings Limited representative Kekola Kolderkaev, and Sri Lanka Air Force officials have been involved in the financial misappropriation and conspiracy and aiding and abetting in misappropriation, unquote. The Sunday Times also reports that the original fake agreement has gone missing from the Air Force headquarters. The FCID has identified the individual they believe is responsible for this incident and is consulting the Aegis Department on what action they could take. Funds from the SLAF have gone to Belimisa Holdings Limited. From there, the funds have been remitted to a secret account in the British Virgin Islands where the company had been incorporated. FCID investigations have revealed that Rovich, then a director of Ukrenmash, had signed on behalf of Ukraine thereafter. The Ukrainian authorities tracked him down at a Paris address and arrested him. We apologize for the technical difficulties we experienced during the covering of that story. Just for clarity's sake, among the main points that the FCID uncovered in this, according to the Sunday Times exclusive report, is that the original fake agreement, which espoused this as a government-to-government transaction, has gone missing from the Air Force headquarters. The FCID has identified the individual they believe who is responsible for this incident and is consulting the AG's department on what action should be taken. This report reveals that funds from the Sri Lanka Air Force have gone to Belimisa Holdings Limited, a front for Singapore-based DS Alliance and its managing director, T.S. Lee, also known as Lee Tan Soo, and that these funds had been remitted to a secret account in the British Virgin Islands where the company had been incorporated. There are several key points that we need to address, several key questions that need to be asked. The name of Udayanga Weeratunga has come up constantly in relation to this MiG-27 aircraft. It's purported that he was one of the key players in arranging this deal, although Mr. Weeratunga himself, in press statements, has denied any involvement in the MiG-27 deal. However, given that these names are mentioned, Mr. Lee Tan Soo, the commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force, Belimisa Holdings Limited, DS Alliance of Singapore, Ukraine Marsh, it is necessary to identify the relationships between these individuals and to identify the name of the owner of that secret account in the British Virgin Islands. This deal was initially espoused as a government-to-government transaction, a G2G deal cutting out all middlemen. However, the latest Sunday Times report and continuous reporting by us here at News First has revealed that this G2G was a mere facade that was intended for middlemen to make millions. This is the agreement that, the fake agreement that has now gone missing. And you can see in this, the designated party here has been listed as Belimisa Holdings Limited, the seller, Ukraine Marsh, and the buyer, commander of the Sri Lanka Air Force. What fate befell this agreement? Where is it? On what grounds were these aircraft purchased for the Sri Lanka Air Force? Just for the purpose of clarity, we have nothing against the procurement of arms and armaments during a time of war, as far as logic and reason dictate that it is necessary. What really concerns us, though, is that unscrupulous individuals have made millions of deals such as this. What is of particular concern to us in this particular incident, the procurement of the MiG-27 aircraft, is that it may have led to the assassination of one of our own. Mr. Lasantha Wickrematunge, then editor-in-chief of the Sunday Leader, who also worked very closely with us here at News First and served here at News First for a time as well. Various opinions are now being touted around regarding the killing of Lasantha Wickrematunge. There are uncertainties regarding whether he was shot or whether he was beaten to death. Several years, 2009 January, he was assassinated. We're in 2018 now, and we still have no progress on the assassination of Lasantha Wickrematunge, and no one has been brought to book. At the same time, no one has been brought to book on the MiG-27 procurement controversy either. One of the main men wanted in connection with this transaction, Mr. Udayanga Weeratunge, was recently apprehended in Dubai, or rather detained in Dubai, by authorities there, following an Interpol Blue notice that was requested by the Sri Lankan authorities. Is he still in Dubai? Our authorities are quite mum on that. Where does this case go from now? Will Mr. Udayanga Weeratunge come back to Sri Lanka to face the law and be declared either guilty or not guilty? Does he have any intention of coming here? He is active on social media. He is issuing press statements to the media here at home, but the authorities here in Sri Lanka have as yet been unable to find him and record a statement. Back to you in the studio, Arundhati.
Thank you, Nadeem. Moving on to other local stories, State Minister of National Policies and Economic Affairs Harsha DaSilva expressed these views attending an opening ceremony in the Kotte electorate.
Our stance is very clear. The UNP will not sign a no confidence against the Prime Minister. It will not happen. Many within the UNP are of the view that there should be some changes in the UNP leadership. The people told us to catch the fact that whether these thieves are blue, green, red or yellow, the people are waiting till we Only after the election results were announced did the UNP and the cobbled together good governance government of anarchy realize that they need to catch thieves. However, they have been unable as yet to get the former central bank governor Arjuna Mahindran to Sri Lanka in spite of there being a court order. Not a word is being spoken about the footnote gang. There are also more than 100 files at the Attorney General's department regarding the nepotism of the former government, and no action has been planned on any of these. Indictments must be filed. No cases have been filed against the nepotism of the Rajapaksa family. At the same time, the corrupt who are working against establishing of special courts are able to do this because of the incapability of this government. Dr. Harsha DaSilva says that the election results show the people want them to catch the thieves. However, for 3 years, they have been unable to apprehend a single thief. Instead, they put their arms around the shoulders of the thieves and danced around. The thieves who broke into the central bank are at large, and the people have been forced to bear this burden. Members of the Rajapaksa family regime are partying because they know that this government will never catch the thieves. Indictments must be filed on the cases before the Attorney General's department, and until punishment is meted out to the central bank thieves and the thieves who stole from the country, as the voice against corruption, we will continue our struggle on behalf of the people.
Former UNP General Secretary Tanaka visited Digana in Kandy today to inquire into the well-being of the people and the damage caused to property by the recent unrest in the area. Now, during the visit, Tanaka expressed these views to the media.
We must accept many of the facts contained in this report. On the one hand, steps must be taken to bring the UNP closer to the grassroots. The Pandita Committee has put forward several proposals on this. These represent the feelings of the UNPers. If the recommendations had been implemented and if it had trickled down to the villages, the UNP could have built a much stronger force. Can the UNP bear the loss it dealt at the local government elections? I believe this is the first time a party suffered such a large defeat while being in power. So what should be done to rectify this? The party need to reconsider the opposition being raised against the party leadership by the grassroots level. If we are to turn the UNP into a political force once more, the UNP must completely change its outlook. They cannot create these changes by shuffling around some positions or making claims that they are going to create a leadership generation. The people want a complete change. I also believe that Sajith Premadasa will be able to create a change in the party if he accepts the party leadership. However, he cannot do it alone. He will need support from outside and inside. If he gathers all these forces, I believe that he will be able to do something.
The report that was being referred to by both Mr. Tanaka and Dr. Harsha DaSilva before that is the report of an internal committee of the UNP from 2004, which was chaired by Mr. NGP Panditaratna. The Ceylon Today newspaper reported today that this 2004 UNP Commission report had been kept secret for 14 years. According to the newspaper, the internal 17-member UNP committee chaired by Panditaratna was appointed by the working committee to carry out a 3-month research among UNP activists at all levels throughout the country and gather advice for the reform of the party. Let's take a look at this next story.
The report of the Panditaratna Commission allegedly paints the party leadership in a poor light and underscores the need for also reported on the moves for reform and restructuring of the United National Party. Party veterans and seniors, including former ministers and former General Secretary and UNP stalwart Sirisena Kure, called for changes to the party leadership in order to strengthen the UNP. The Pandita Ratna report, highlighted by the Ceylon Today newspaper, today reveals that this dossier and recommendations contained therein were kept secret for 14 years. While individuals such as State Minister Dr. Harsha DaSilva may say that these are internal problems within the UNP and that they will resolve it among themselves, it is evident that a time for change in the UNP was 14 years ago. Reform within the UNP is essential to ensuring democracy in the country.
Police say they are yet to identify the driver of the luxury vehicle that had met with an accident in the Thaluwathugoda area. The Sunday Times newspaper too reported on the incident today.
According to Sunday Times, the said vehicle was driven by a son of a senior member of the United National Party and cabinet minister. However, the owner or the driver has not yet come forward. It is indeed problematic as to how an expensive luxury vehicle was abandoned after an accident.
It was around 6:20 when I arrived here. It was then that I saw the accident. A certain politician's name was mentioned. Since you don't know this for sure, it is not right for me to mention the name. It was the name of a secretary of a prominent party. He came from that club. I didn't see it until it came close. It was trailing at high speed. I braked and after that my car turned 90 degrees. The other vehicle came from that side. It fell in the canal after hitting the vehicle.
Minister of Higher Education and Highways Kabir Hashim has issued a media release stating that it was one of his relations who was the driver of the vehicle that met with an accident in the Thaluwathugoda area.
According to the release, the minister says that he has come to notice reports on various websites with regard to an accident involving a BMW and two other vehicles on the 17th of this month. In the release, the minister notes that the driver of the said vehicle is related to him, but he is not a member of his ministerial staff or has any affiliation to his political activities. The minister goes on to say that he is ready to provide his full support to assist the investigations being carried out by the police. It has been revealed that this luxury vehicle belongs to a relative of Minister Kabir Hashim. We saw a media release issued by the minister accepting this and stating that he is not involved in his political activities. We are getting information that this individual did serve on the minister's staff for some time. The issue is, how did these people get money to use such luxury vehicles? How did they earn this money? The people of this country need to know.
A high-level Sri Lankan delegation is scheduled to depart for Geneva tomorrow in order to attend the 37th session of the UN Human Rights Council.
According to the Government Information Department, the delegation will highlight actions Sri Lanka has taken since it co-sponsored UNHCR Resolution 30/1 in September 2015. The actions include the operationalization of the Office of Missing Persons, the enactment of the Enforced Disappearances Act, ongoing discussions on the draft counterterrorism legislation to replace the Prevention of Terrorism Act, and a bill to set up the Reparations Office recently approved by Cabinet. Foreign Minister Tilak Marapana will lead the delegation with Special Assignments Minister Sarath Amunugama accompanying the delegation as the President's representative. According to the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Sri Lanka's Universal Periodic Review report under the third cycle of the UPR will be adopted tomorrow. Meanwhile, the Ceylon Today reports that top international human rights lawyer and barrister Queen's Counsel Sir Geoffrey Nice, who led the prosecution in the trial of former Yugoslavia President Slobodan Milosevic at the International Tribunal in The Hague, has been hired as the legal advisor by the Global Sri Lanka Forum to lodge a formal complaint against the United Nations Human Rights Council for adopting Resolution 30/1, co-sponsored by Sri Lanka in 2015 without a vote. The article notes that the faction that supports former President Mahinda Rajapaksa invited 3 members to be in the advisory council. One was Queen Counsel Geoffrey Nice, and the others were Queen's Counsel Sir Desmond DaSilva and Professor David Crane. These international reputed prosecutors were hired for colossal payments during Rajapaksa's regime by the then Ministry of External Affairs.
Minister Field Marshal Sarath Fonseca expressed these views to the media yesterday following a religious program held in Kelaniya.
If they were taking advice from the Sangha, would the Sangha have advised them on white van operations, MIG deals, the theft of about $7 million and thieving $91 million from the Lowland Development Authority to build their parents' tombs? So we would like to know who advised them to do these things. He does not know about the Constitution. There is only one thing in the Constitution that he was aware, and that was the part that allowed him to contest for the presidency for as long as he lived. He was ignorant on constitutional amendments, legislation and laws. Now our government is carrying out this task. We do not need to keep asking the opposition about what we are doing, and neither will we act according to their wishes.
Speaking to the media following an event held at the Anuradhapura Teaching Hospital yesterday, Health Minister Rajitha Senaratne had this to say.
Even if governments are toppled, I say that all laws from jaywalking to murder must be enforced strictly. A country without law or discipline can never be developed. Good governance does not mean a government that is ruled by stray dogs. Good governance means a just society for the innocent people of this country. The law must be equal to all. Elections must be free and fair. We have ensured freedom in all these aspects. Our previous government built various things including ports, bridges and expressways. Following the war, we engaged in major infrastructure development. Our government felt that this is far more important now to develop our human resources. That is why we have prioritized health and education.
The 101st passing out parade of jailers took place in the prison premises in Agunukula Palasa, Hambantota today.
The passing out parade consisted of 325 jailers, including 34 female jailers. The ceremony was attended by Minister of Prison Reforms, Rehabilitation, Resettlement and Hindu Religious Affairs, D.M. Swaminathan.
There are certain defects in the prisons, as you all very well know. I don't want to emphasize that here. But I only earnestly request you to please consider maintaining proper law and order, no preferential rights to be given to anyone. Every prisoner is the same, whether he is rich or poor, and he has to be looked after the same manner. As mentioned earlier, prisons is not for people to be kept under custody. But prisons is where the prisoners will have to change their cult, change their mind frame, and become true citizens of this country.
Recently, Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte watched bulldozers flatten dozens of sports cars and other luxury vehicles as part of a drive to fight corruption at the country's Customs Bureau. A total of 30 vehicles worth a combined $1.2 million was scrapped in Manila and 2 other cities on the president's orders. He had previously said that smuggled cars will be destroyed to send a message to wealthy car owners who do not pay the right import duties. We leave you tonight with these visuals. If you are a car enthusiast, you might want to turn away. With that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Weekend Primetime News. Thank you very much for joining us. Good night.